all the different names and colours and breeds of sheep can be a little bit confusing at the beginning when you're first getting into felting. So I'm just going to go through some of the main words you're going to come across, and also there is a PDF with a little poster I put together which hopefully makes it a little bit clearer. You can print it off if you like, and just have it close to hand, so when you're doing your ordering, or maybe you're going to a farm show, you lucky thing, you can take it along and think, right, I need this, this and this. Okie dokie, let's get going. The coarsest thing there is the core wool. The core wool that we use. Now, as you can see, it hasn't been brushed, it's been cleaned normally, maybe loosely carded, but not necessarily, it's just clean. What I like to use is this one. It's sort of Welsh Mountain, so it's on the rough side, and what you want in a core wool, because a core wool is what you use to make up the basic shape inside your animals. Okay, so it's not the coloured stuff, it's the stuff on the inside, that when you grip it like that in your fist, it has some sort of resistance there. It's actually wanting to open your palm again. It's got some spring, some volume. So that's giving me a little push, and that's a lovely one. You can get core wools and they're just a little bit long in the fibre length. So if I pulled it out now, it's called the staple length. If I pull this apart, you can see it comes up into little clouds, very short little clouds. Each fibre here, each little hair of it is actually quite small and almost frizzy, and that's what you want, because I can roll that into small balls. I can start little heads, I can start all sorts of things, snails, whatever you're doing, you can roll it really, really nicely. If you have something that's a really long staple length, a bit like this Shetland here, can you imagine rolling that up? You've got bits coming off at different angles and it's just frustrating. So a short staple length with some resistance, nice and bouncy, is a core wool. Welsh Mountain, Ryland is also good, but Ryland tends to come in brown. Okay, this one is Shetland. One of my favourite wools, Shetland Mooric. It's readily available, fortunately, and this one actually does come from the island of Shetland. It has been carded and then put as a roving, so it explains on my little template sheet. Once something's been carded, it ends up in bats. So this is Shetland wool, and this is Shetland wool. They're both Shetland wool. Can you see how the colour changes? In this one, you've got the nice sort of rich, beautiful, warm browns and the finer, whiter hairs, but they're all flowing in the same direction. And I can make that into a nice smooth coat for an animal, or a scene or a tree trunk very easily. It's a lovely soft wool, the Shetland. It's a beautiful soft wool. Got a little bit of bounce, but not enough for a really good core wool, especially once it is in roving form like this. So all the fiber's been laying in the same direction, and that's when we call it roving. So when it's just been carded, so it's gone on a carding machine, it's just been combed, but it hasn't been. It's a bit like when you get up in the morning and your hair's all over the place. That's a bat. So if I were to open this, it's come off the carding machine. So it's had all its, most of its hedgerow taken out of it, and you can unroll it and it comes in sort of a big bulky sheet like this. And as you can see, this would be lovely for putting around an animal, but before you've got to use it, you've got to either comb it out yourself with the fingers or something a little bit like this tool here if you want it smooth. If you don't and you just want a nice sort of bouncy, curly looking furred animal, that's absolutely fine. It is easier to use. Bats are quite easy to use. They're really good for achieving coverage really quickly and adding a little bit of volume. However, if you want a smoother finish, or if you want to wet felt with it at all, then go for roving. If you're interested, just buy a little bit of both and then you can experiment. Now, the softest of all the wools is the merino, of the sheep's wools anyway. You can get camel and alpaca, which are both very similar in that they're very, very fine, low micron levels. So yes, the thickness of wool is measured in microns, and that is explained on the poster sheet as well. So this is beautiful. This is, you'd say, oh, it's roving because it's all in the same direction. Those fibres, all, yes, they are. But this has had the shorter fibres taken out, and it's the extra. It's like the cream. Think of the milk, and it's the cream. So it's the tops. If I pull some of this out, it's beautifully and soft. It's like gossamer. It's really lovely. And it's what I would use if I were doing, bring my blue tip back again, obviously not in apricot colour, but if you were getting a nice smooth underbelly here and you just wanted to blend it maybe with some oranges and some yellows, and you could smooth it round, and it's not going to be too bulky, you're not going to have to be battling with your needle. So what needle would you choose for working with such a gentle wool? I wouldn't go above a 40 straight. I wouldn't go above a 40 straight with these beautiful fine wools, so the merinos, the camels and all that sort. I'll put it on here so I can always peel it off, because otherwise it's going to make the pock marks. So I can just really light little dabs on top, with really light little dabs. It's going on there, and it's like a thin veil on top, and the colours blend beautifully. It's a bit like working with watercolours. It's lovely, lovely. So anyway, that is called a top. Okay, so we've got our tops, our rovings, our bats and our core wool. So that's, I think, enough to keep you going for now. If you want to know a little bit more, then do look at the PDF and have a little study. I would use mostly tops and the finer wools for doing little things like that. They take the dye really easily, so you can get them in some beautiful colours. Corriedale is okay. Corriedale works well, but merino if you're going to be doing fine work, because if you can imagine, I can take this little bit of top. It's not a very long staple length. It's had the really long ones taken out, and I can roll it like that in my fingers. I can roll it to make these little balls. Again, like the bird, you can blend it with other colours really easily. In my tutorials, I go through the blending process and which colours to use. So if you want to make little things like that, oh, and one little extra as well, I've just thought of. So back to the needles. This is an orange tipped needle. Okay, the orange tipped needle is called a reverse needle. These colours only refer to Heidi Feathers, so she gives you this key. If you ever buy her needles, there we are. But there are others as well. Sweet Pea Dolls do good needles too. So I'm not saying just buy those, I'm just saying they're good. Here we are. This is a reverse needle, so why would you use that? Well, it pulls the hair back out again. So once you've prodded it in, so you've prodded in your hair, it's nice and firmly in. This little hedgehog's feeling nice and warm and cosy. And then you think, actually, he needs them to look like prickles. So what we do, we get the reverse needle, and without going too deep in, because you don't want to be pulling just core wool out the centre, on the top, you can just pull them out again like that. So this reverse needle, if you want to do dogs, you know, they have their whiskers around there, you know, sort of fluffy chops sometimes, the little long, the sort of wire-haired terriers and that sort of thing, the reverse needle is really handy. Or if maybe you're doing bear fur and you want to bring it out, so you can pluck, it's a bit like plucking, I'd say, plucking out the wool again, and as you can see, gradually he's becoming all nice and fluffy. So if you were going to do a bear, you could then comb it down just with a toothbrush or something to make the fur flow in the right direction. And I want to show you one other little thing, because maybe with your needles you find them a little bit tricky to hold, being so narrow. If that is the case, there are lots of wooden and metal holders out there for you to try. But over the years, I had one student who came up, well, she told me this idea and she came up with it herself. And this is exactly what you think it is. It is a face makeup sponge. Really easy to get hold of, very reasonably priced and fantastic. What do? The wide end, you pop it in like that. It just slides through really easily. Through it goes. Pop it in. And I always thought, well, that's, as I prod, it's just that's going to work its way down. It doesn't. The foam is so firm, it holds in place really well. And you can prod like that. And the beauty of that is that you're holding the needle pretty much where you would anyway. So with a wooden holder, your fingers and hands are getting further away from the end of the needle. So it's almost like pointing with a pointer at the TV or on a blackboard. You're a long way away, and to hit it on an exact spot is quite tricky. Whereas this, I can be really precise in exactly where I want to put it because I'm holding it quite close to the end. It's also soft to hold, which after a few hours of working, sometimes your fingers can get a little bit gripped in the same position. So one of those is really, really handy. Okie dokie. I think with those little extras along the way, you should be all set. So happy felting. If you have any questions, do let me know. You can contact me, liberty@libertiesfeltery.com. Happy prodding. I just showed you a few of the sheep's wools that we tend to use and which are readily available. However, if you are in a sort of a rural community, or there are farm shows that you want to go to, or you have found a supplier that does the more unusual breeds, it's fascinating and so interesting to try the little bits of different wool and to see how they behave when needle felted and indeed wet felted. I just put a few on the little poster because otherwise it would have been too long. So if you find another sheep, or maybe you've got a neighbour who has a sheep, but this you can find books like this. As you can see, there are so many different breeds. Look at this; it just goes on and on and on. Some are brown, some are white, some are mixed, some are curly, some are straight, and they're lovely. So that's the Manx Lothian back there, which I love using that wool, but it's a rare breed, so you don't often find it available. But if you do, grab a bag. And if you're not quite sure how it's going to behave and you're ordering it online, just check what the micron level sort of number is, and then compare it to my little poster, and then you'll be able to see roughly what it would behave like. So always go by the microns, and that will give you a little bit of an indicator as to the thickness and what it's going to do. Super duper. Right, on with some wool collecting, I think.